What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Monday, April 12th, 2000, Monday, May 12th, 2025. And we are back with another live here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you are here. Hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. But before I really get into everything, are y'all getting the notifications? Because I noticed lately my view count has been low when it comes to some of the live streams. And I think YouTube is definitely doing something on their end because my subscriber count has not really moved in over a month. It's been stuck at like 71.8 since I went on my trip. So yeah, so I know they're doing something funny over there. I'm not surprised. I'm used to it by now, but this is something I wanted to put out there just in case people aren't getting the notifications. That's why I said it's important for y'all to join that Discord, because if you don't get the notifications here, you will for sure get them over there. I know that for a fact. But hey, it is what it is. What can you do? But let me go ahead and acknowledge the people that are here so far. Oh, yeah, shout out to the mods, the members, and everybody over on Patreon as well. And if you can't make this live this evening for whatever reason, shout out to the replay gang as well. So we got Hackson KT, we got Doc Spencer, Reparations Nations, Brother Man to You, Sybil, Scoop 2003. And also shout out to Miss Nisi for being a member for 15. She said she almost missed this live stream. Well, you know, the other two were premiere videos, because actually now I've kind of switched up my upload stuff again. So now I'm doing 2 videos a day. Well, with a live stream thrown in sporadically. And this sporadic, this live right here that y'all getting today was actually going to be on Tuesday. But because I didn't do a live yesterday because Rumble was going through its issues, I said, let me just go ahead and do this live today. And speaking of Rumble, they got their issue fixed with their server. So it looks like we'll be able to have the True Crime Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, the one we were supposed to have yesterday. It'll happen this upcoming Sunday, which I believe is the 18th? That'll be the 18th. And because it messed the schedule up, that means you'll be getting another True Crime Sunday the following Sunday instead of the Sunday 2 weeks from then. So it'll be back-to-back True Crime Sundays, and you can thank Rumble and whatever they had going on their platform for that one. Shout out to Wallow J. We got Doc Spencer, Tawana Cook. Who else do we got in here? See, be like Miss Nisi. She says, I get all notifications, especially from Discord. I'm just for good measure, I'm gonna just go ahead and post the Discord in here. Like I said, it's optional if you want to join or not. Now, Discord, it's not only just for notifications, but for some that might be what you want to use it for. But in there, it's a lot of us in there. It's probably like, if I had to gauge, it's probably about, it's well over 200 people in that Discord. I know that for a fact. But you can get in there, you can chat with us and all of that good stuff. We just be talking and chatting. Tawana B is like the news anchor because she posts all the articles, but we appreciate her for that. A lot of the stuff that I do talk about either comes from Twitter or from her, and amongst other different things as well. So let's see, we got C. Terry, we got Dewani, we got Cooking with Miss D. SD John said, I'm so used to the lives at 6. I was on replay. Yeah, that was a premiere video, but now because I'm doing the twice a day with the exception of Sunday and Saturday, unless it's an update video, then I throw that on a Saturday, or maybe a triple P. I throw that on a Saturday as well. And Sunday I try to leave open unless, like yesterday, it was an update to the Tyree Nichols story, so I had to throw that on a Sunday. But if I do a live on a Sunday, it's typically True Crime Sunday, but because Rumble was messed up yesterday, I couldn't do it, which is why I'm live today. This needs to say, stop confusing me. Who else do we have in here? We got Dexter Jones, then Zemus. Who else do we got in here? We got DSB, and that is it so far. And Casey Malone, shout out to you. All right, so today we are going to be talking about this individual by the name of Damian Allen. Put a 1 in the chat if you are familiar with Damian Allen. Put a 2 in the chat if this today is going to be the first time you've ever heard of Damian Allen. Again, put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of Damian Allen. Put a 2 if you have not. Hackson says 1. Brother Mint to you says 1. Wallow J says 2. McCook and Ms. D says 1. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay. So Damian Allen is an individual who almost carried out a mass shooting in Florida, but they were able to apprehend him before he did it. Now, what makes his story in summary very interesting is if you look on the thumbnail on the screen that you see before you, on the far right, that is Damian Allen. That is the person who was going to carry out the shooting. But if you look to the left to the middle, you see 2 faces. The one on the far left is Natalie Rupnow, and in the middle is Henderson. I forgot his last name, but I talked about him. Now, there is a connection between all 3 of these individuals, but more specifically between Damian Allen and Natalie. I'm not going to say what the connection is, but just keep in mind that I put in the thumbnail, could there be a network? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at this press conference from Law and Crime. And I just came across it actually maybe about less than an hour before I went live, because initially all I had was some articles. I do have some articles that are going to go with it, but I figured Law and Crime is going to do a lot of the legwork for me, much like when I went live on Saturday talking about what's his name, Phoenix Inkner. What's going on, Scoop? I don't know if I acknowledged you, but shout out to you. Shout out to Kingdom of Garvin. Also, shout out to JM as well. So let's go again, go in here and see what they're talking about.
Investigators that work this case, there's no doubt in my mind they have stopped a mass shooting that was going to happen. This guy was ready to go, had all the equipment, had the propensity to do it. It's just a matter of what day was going to set him off to go do it.
A Florida sheriff is not holding back when talking about the arrest of this man. Pictures show that deputies found 18 guns, thousands of rounds of ammunition, police uniforms, and allegedly plans to carry out mass shootings at 7 locations. Allegedly, he gloated online about his loadout being set for, quote, war. Then on social media, he allegedly made it look like he was a member of law enforcement as he flaunted the guns allegedly in his possession. But then, on top of all of that, another shocking twist in this story.
Now, pay attention to this is the part right here when I said that there's a network here. Now, the reason why I didn't pause on the guns is because the last time I did that, YouTube shut my stream down, and all I did was have it paused right there. And the thing is, if you pause on a picture that has firearms for too long, then they'll say you're trying to promote violence. So that's why I had to wait until they got to a point that didn't have any firearms in the picture. But y'all saw what they said right there. Y'all saw all of that ammunition and the firearms he had. He said he was ready for war, and then was going out there impersonating cops. And they want to sit, and the usual suspects want to sit up there and try to say that we're the violent ones. Oh, yes, Doc Spencer, he was tooled up to the brim. I mean, you saw what they had right there, and then they looked and saw what he had in his closet as well. I mean, literally, why even have clothes in there? Why even put clothes in there?
Say he was allegedly in touch with a Wisconsin teenager for months before she died carrying out a school shooting last year. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris.
So there's the connection right there. It said he was in contact with Natalie Rupnow. Now that's someone I talked about last year, but we're going to continue. We're going to talk about Natalie later on because something just recently came out, not so much about her, but more about her dad. So some of y'all may know what I'm talking about, but we're going to talk about it later on.
Stewart. The sheriff in Palm Beach County, Florida, says his deputies have stopped a mass shooting before it happened because they were able to arrest a man they believe had stalked several locations and had the weapons to do it. Damian Allen is now under arrest. Deputies say they first learned of the 22-year-old through a tip that came into the FBI. Deputies raided his home in Loxahatchee, Florida, and they say they found 18 guns and 12,000 rounds of ammunition. This is one of the pictures the sheriff showed at a news conference. On top of the weapons, deputies say Allen allegedly had multiple Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office uniforms, a badge, a PBSO laptop, even the belt and holster that deputies use. They say it's unclear how Allen got his hands on all of that. We found Allen's Instagram page, and he has allegedly posted multiple videos.
Trust me, trust and believe. If a person is crazy enough, they'll find a way. He had the cops stumped on how he was even to retrieve that stuff, because that was what he was wearing, like this uniform and stuff. That wasn't something you bought like at a Party City or a costume store. This was the real deal. And they're trying to figure out how in the world was he able to retrieve that. And I'm sure they probably screened to see who came in and out these departments to find out how in the world did he get it. Yeah, 12,000 rounds, Casey Malone. 12,000.
Of him dressed up as a deputy. And deputies say those videos are far more than just some 22-year-old dress up and pretend police.
Oh, cooking with Miss D, I have no doubt he probably definitely knows somebody there. Like, how else was he able to retrieve that?
Police.
Some information we have on this is that there were online communications with other individuals who discussed carrying out mass violence, not just here in Florida and Palm Beach County, but in the nation.
Also, keep in mind, y'all, this is the second, well, almost second mass shooting that happened in Florida, because I talked about Phoenix Inkner on Saturday and what he did at Florida State University, and this right here was not long after that. It almost happened, but they caught him before he could carry anything out.
Allen expressed support of radically and ethically motivated violent extremism and threats of mass violence, to include identifying several places, I believe it was 7, that he would like to strike. This included a police department, and other conversations people who online were to discuss churches. They use of guerrilla warfare and tactics and ambushing to carry out the mass violence attacks.
We went through court records for Allen, and in the probable cause affidavit, we see Allen talking on TikTok about his alleged extremist views and violent attacks. In May of last year, deputies say Allen was allegedly talking to a user on TikTok.
Oh, okay, let's look at what it says right here. It says on May 23rd, 2024 at approximately 1:23 a.m., Rupnow stated, "I wanted to do a black church that was near me, but Now that was him talking to Natalie Rupnow, or that was her. Of course, they always got to go after the black people. We're like a prime real estate for them. And it says on May 23rd, 2024 at approximately 1:23 a.m. So right after they sent that first text, it says Rupnow stated, "Survived while you could. Usually it takes a few though." On May 23rd, 2024, at approximately 1:24 a.m., the very next minute, unknown, it says Allen stated, "Yeah." On May 23rd, 2024, at approximately 1:24 a.m., unknown, and in parentheses, it says Allen stated, "I got AR-500 steel plates at level 4 helmet and IFAK kits. My loadout is set up for war. AR-500 steel plates are bulletproof vests. A level 4 helmet is a bulletproof helmet, and IFAK kits are individual first aid kits."
Who they say wanted to do a, quote, black church that was near me, but Allen later replies, quote, "I got a AR-500 steel plates, at level 4 helmet, IFAK kits. My loadout is set up for war." Deputies say that user who Allen was communicating with was Natalie Rupnow. That name might sound familiar to you. She was a 15-year-old girl who killed a teacher and student at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin in December of last year. She also injured 6 other people. Court records show that after Rupnow took her life, police in Wisconsin got her phone from her pocket, then traced the conversation that she was having with Allen in Florida. Here's another video, allegedly of Allen from his Instagram, and this time you can see he's in military fatigues and carrying what looks like an AR-style rifle. Deputies also say that Allen and Rupnow allegedly established a conspiracy to commit mass shootings. In June, Allen writes, quote, "We go down together," to which...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do y'all remember when I did I think it was the live. I think I did a live on her. I could have sworn, and maybe I'm reaching on this one, but maybe I'm not. Wasn't there something in some messages or something where it said that Natalie was talking to somebody, apparently some boy or some male that she was supposed to be in a relationship with, but they never revealed who the name of that person was? What if this was the guy that she was talking to? I could have sworn I had read that somewhere, that she was talking to some person that she was in a quote unquote relationship with, and it was in some kind of forum. I bet you it was him, because they never said what his name was. They just said it was some guy. And now looking at this, I think this is who she was talking to. Wow. This just got even more interesting.
Rupnow replies, correct, and says, I love you. To which Allen replies, I love you more. Another key exchange was this one from May of last year, when both Rupnow and Allen were talking about how many guns they allegedly had. Allen talks about how many magazines he has, including 10 that can hold 30 rounds each, and how he also allegedly has smoke grenades. Rupnow replies she has 2 of her father's handguns. 2 handguns is what police in Wisconsin say that teen used when she attacked her school. The conversation.
Keep that part in mind, y'all, when we go forward, when we talk about Natalie's dad, what they just said about her having a handgun that was registered to her dad.
Station then continues with Allen stating, quote, once you get to a point, there's no going back, and quote, I got 7 places I would strike. The police department also. Guerrilla warfare tactics, ambushing, and blitz. Deputies in South Florida say Allen spoke with the Wisconsin school shooter from May to September of last year. Their conversations ended less than 2 months before Rupnow attacked her school. As far as what could be the motivation for Allen allegedly to plan a mass shooting and even target, from what we're seeing in those conversations, a police station when, according to social media, he loved to dress up as a PBSO deputy. We noticed
now, I don't want
this image that was provided by the Palm Beach County Sheriff of all the weapons they say they found at Allen's house. You can see that there was a swastika as well as what looks like a Russian flag on the sleeve of a military shirt. In court documents,
I didn't want to pause it because, again, if you stay on the picture too long with the guns, I know how YouTube can get. Y'all saw that, right? Because that's what I was going to point out, but the host mentioned it. You saw the swastika and they said some badges, so you already know what type of mindset he has. So I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised if he harbored some anti-black views.
Documents, it does appear that Rupnow harbored racist and anti-Semitic views. And one question it seems that PBSO deputies are trying to answer right now is, how did Allen get his hands on so much gear that PBSO deputies use? The uniforms, the belts, the holsters. It seems from looking at his social media, he was obsessed with law enforcement. This is even a picture he took.
He looks like a weirdo.
2 PBSO vehicles outside of a Walmart. And here's a picture of that belt and holster in his closet that he posted on Instagram too. This is what the sheriff's office had to say.
He posted several videos of him wearing a full PBSO uniform, which is very similar to what myself and the sheriff are wearing today. It included a badge, a name tag with his name on it, and all the equipment that is issued to PBSO officers. There's a Class B uniform, which is a less dressier one, the short sleeve version, but he had 2 or 3 of those uniforms, which at that time were still looking where how those were obtained. He had a gun belt, a taser, a radio, and other police equipment, including a fake body cam video to make it more realistic. He showed himself operating a vehicle that resembled a law enforcement car. I believe it was a Crown Vic, if I'm not mistaken. And he added a police package, a laptop stand, and a police computer in there. And it was operational, and he would take videos of him standing in it and sitting in it.
There's also the question of how this 22-year-old was able to afford so much gear, so many weapons. Deputies say they're still looking into that, and it's unclear if he legally owned all the weapons they say was in his possession. Deputies say he was living with his family. The FBI is also involved in this investigation, and deputies say there could be federal charges. Currently, Allen is...
Hold on. Wait a minute. He was living with his family and he had all of that, and are they trying to sit up here and tell me his family did not know about this? How, if that's what you're going to try to imply, I call BS. Because how would you have all of that and you do not know? That's a lot of stuff. It's not like he only had one weapon. He had what appears to be hundreds. Somebody saw something. Like, look at all of that's laid out there. That's literally covering the entire floor. There's barely any room to walk. And you had that all inside of your home and nobody said anything. Investigate the family. That's all I got to say. Investigate the family. Now, let's look what they're talking about on here. So this is his booking information. They got his name, race, gender, where he's at, his booking time, cell location, the date what he's been charged with and all other stuff. And he has what it looks like one felony. It says intimidation, threat for a mass shooting or a terrorism act. At least they got that right, because it was an attempted domestic terrorist act. They said using two-way communicating device to facilitate felony, and fraud, impersonation, unlawful use of a badge or indication of authority. In his current bond on one charge is with 50,000 and 50. So it's like 100. Was it? Oh, they increased it. So originally he had a $5,000 bond on the second one and $1,000 on the other one, making it $6,000 in total, but they increased it to $50,000 each. So they already know that this guy is unhinged. But truthfully, if it was up to me, he wouldn't get a bond, but that's just me.
Is facing charges of written or electronic threat of a mass shooting or terrorist act, using a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony, and illegally impersonating a police officer. He's currently being held in the Palm Beach County Jail. The longtime sheriff in Palm Beach County did not hold back when talking about this case.
This is disturbing that somebody can get these type of items off the internet. It baffles me, to be honest with you. But this is a dangerous individual. Can you imagine the damage he would have done with 12,000 rounds of ammunition and fully automatic ARs? Unquestionably, this is one of the best arrests that I've seen in a long time.
Now, keep this in mind for those who forgot. This guy was planning to commit 7, not 1, but 7 mass shootings. That was his plan. Like, he went in, and it was definitely premeditated, because they said he went and scoped the places he wanted to do them at. He was going to go and commit 7 mass shootings. That was his plan.
Has prevented people from dying, because I guarantee you he was going to do that.
A former classmate of Allen spoke to a local TV station in West Palm Beach, WPTV, who said that Allen was a member of her high school's JROTC and would often talk about guns. And she said, quote, "I soon realized he wasn't normal. He would always talk about guns, and he was in JROTC, and he would just constantly talk about those things. And when I would try to sway the conversation to any other topic, that wouldn't work."
Yeah, anyone who has a fetish or an obsession with talking about firearms, yeah, you might want to report that immediately, because that means they are prepared to do something drastic. And that's usually always the case. Either they plan on doing something drastic to other people, or they plan on doing something crazy to themselves that involves a firearm.
Joining us now to talk more about this case is former Palm Beach County State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg, who's also now managing partner of Dave Ehrenberg Law. Thanks for taking the time to join us from South Florida. You're no longer the head of the office that'll be prosecuting this case, but this is out of Palm Beach County. What stands out to you when what we know at this point about this suspect, Damian Allen?
First, how did he get a hold of a PBSO uniform, a Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office deputy's uniform? That's not supposed to be available to the public. How did he get inside a Crown Victoria that resembled a car that was used by PBSO? Was there someone in his family or friends who helped him get inside a car to get an old uniform?
I'll go further. Like people are saying in the chat, it's probably somebody on the inside that helped him. They need to thoroughly investigate that department. Because I would, if this was placed upon my feet, I would be wondering the same thing. But then I would be looking to see who in that department was able to get him those items that's not available to the public.
Access something that looked like one of the official sheriff computers that they use, the laptops, and then he had an arsenal of weapons. It's amazing he was able to compile all these weapons for so long without anyone doing anything about it.
Same thing I just said. How did anyone not say anything? Like I said, it's not like he had one gun. He had, I can't even count. He had several. Let's just put it that way. He had several, and they ranged in size and manpower
without catching anyone's eye. And so there are a lot of questions. Unfortunately, he kept pushing.
Like, what did they think that he was going to do with those? Like, really, what did they think he was going to do with them? Like, just buy them? Like, what? Put them in a museum? Auction them?
Pushing it, becoming more brazen in his public communications via social media, that someone who saw something finally said something.
On the part about the uniform, because if you go to an Army surplus store, Army Navy surplus store, you can find a lot of different, if you want to buy fatigues from someone who is in the Army, like that's available to you. But when it comes to the uniform of a member of law enforcement, that is not something that someone should be able to buy unless you're a deputy in this case, it'd be PBSO.
Yeah, and it shows you this guy's mindset. He apparently wants to be like a deputy. He's wearing the uniform. He's inside what looks like a cop car. He's using what looks like a cop laptop, and yet he hates police. He hates law enforcement. He wants to kill as many as he can. This was a guy who apparently wanted a mass shooting. And so there are a lot of unanswered questions. Obviously, there are mental health issues, but that won't save him.
Oh, no, 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 no. We are not doing this. We are not doing the mental health thing. Anybody who has mental health issues is not doing all of this. We are not about to do the mental health thing. We're not playing that. In my honest opinion, he was in his own state of mind when he decided that this was what he was going to do.
Him here, he is someone who's not going to be able to take advantage of an insanity defense because it looked like he was cold and calculated and premeditated. He knew what he was doing and he was trying.
Then why did you mention about some mental health thing if he was going to come right back and say if he can't even use the insanity plea because this was someone who was cold and calculated? That's what you should have started. That's what you should have left the mental health part not be there and just lead with he won't be able to use insanity because he was definitely cold and calculated when he did this, which he definitely was. Like, he didn't just buy those guns because they looked nice. He bought them because he planned to what? Execute 7 mass shootings. And he would have gotten away with it if he did not get caught.
Trying to conceal it until he got caught.
And now that he's caught, he's facing some pretty serious charges. He did not carry out a mass shooting. The deputies and the FBI were able to step in potentially before that would have happened. But what type of punishment could he face, knowing that they have these messages that he had? Not to mention those messages, many of them were with someone who did carry out a shooting in Wisconsin.
Right. Yes, he's a young man. He's got no prior record, but because of the arsenal he compiled and his written threats to kill, the threats against the law enforcement community, the apparent attempt to try to commit a mass shooting, he's facing decades in prison. Thankfully, he didn't act upon it. And because of that.
And also pay attention, he posted those videos on TikTok. I think that TikTok should have definitely did something about that the minute that they saw it, because it's not like they didn't see it. They see all the videos and stuff that comes through their server every single day with as many videos that get posted. They should have saw that and said, okay, yeah, let's do something about it. But they didn't.
That he could get out of prison one day, that it looks like he'll get if he is found guilty or if he cuts a plea deal, he'll get decades in prison. But this is a guy who will likely be free one day, and hopefully he'll learn from his mistakes. He clearly.
Oh, you can't redeem this. In my honest opinion, you cannot redeem this. There's no redeeming this. Sorry. In my honest opinion, he gets out, he gonna go right back to it. And this time he might actually keep it on the low and not put it out there. See, this was the thing that messed his plan up, is because he kept being boastful about what he was going to do, or talking about or leaning into it in a way where it would have people look into him and see what he was all about. If he was quiet about what he planned on doing, he would have carried this out with no issue. But see, the thing is about a lot of these people who are like him, who are trigger happy and want to cause harm and cause destruction and chaos, they get so excited about things that they can't keep it to themselves. It's almost like it's like keeping a secret in for something that is very exciting, and they can't wait to tell people. And then it's like, now it's gotten to the point where, I have to tell people now instead of just waiting for the thing to happen. Exactly, Casey Malone. They love attention.
Really needs some major psychological help.
So he had 18 guns, according to the sheriff, 300 pounds of ammunition, which is about 12,000 rounds. I mean, that's a lot of firepower to have in your home, which they said he lived with his family. So it's not like he owned the house. He had all of this stuff inside the home. But Florida is not a state where it's illegal to have guns. How does the law view that in a case like this, where you do have a state where it is your right to go to a gun store, and if you're 18 years old, you can go buy an AR-15?
Right. Now, it depends also. There's some federal firearms offenses he could have been committing. It's hard to know at this point, but correct. Florida is a very loose state when it comes to the ownership of firearms. There are some small restrictions, like you can't show them in public. You have to have concealed carry. So I don't know if he violated that, but really the meat of the charges here are his threats to kill, his attempt to apparently create a mass shooting. That's going to be the main charge against him. And the compilation of all those firearms, a collection of all those weapons, will be used against him to show that this was not just idle talk. This was not a guy who was messing around. This was a guy who was planning to carry out his threats. That's why the collection of these weapons is important for prosecutors. It's going to be used to show his intent, his mens rea, and the fact that he was going to commit this crime for real. This wasn't just idle talk or a guy trying to gaslight a woman he met on the internet.
Yeah, I want to get to that woman that he was talking to in just a moment. One more thing on this arsenal, because he's 22 years old, and you look at those guns and the cost of what all of that must have been. On top of that, he had the gear, the helmet, some body-worn cameras. He had magazines that he claimed could hold 30 rounds. What questions would you have for the family, and what type of trouble could the family be in if he was getting help putting this arsenal together, or they knew that he had it in the home?
Oh, yeah, the family could be in some trouble if they knowingly assisted him. But, I've seen these types of cases before where the family is just clueless. I mean, they just have their head in the sand. They will not win the parenting award by any means, because
I don't know how his family didn't. Let's play devil's advocate. I don't know how the family could have known or could have not known that he had all of this in there. Like, how did he get it into his room and bypass you? Like, was you out and about? Did you just happen to go on vacation? What is it? Because you cannot sit here and tell me that
they just think they're helping their 22-year-old son by staying out of his life and just not asking questions or believing his easy, ridiculous answers as to why he's stockpiling an army's worth.
Like, you can't sit there. I wanted to let it go past. You can't sit there and tell me that you didn't know. It's no way. Some people can't even sneak food into their room, let alone firearms. And you're telling me that his family was unaware of that? They need to question the family as soon as possible.
Worth of weapons. So the parents have a lot of answers to give on their own. And if they knowingly tried to assist him in possibly committing this act, which he never accomplished, thankfully, then they could be charged as an accomplice. But right now it's too early to know whether or not they'll be witnesses or whether or not they'll be charged themselves.
Reading the story, it was just shocking, because I remember that shooting that happened in Madison, Wisconsin last year in December. And then to see this happening, and then he was communicating with the shooter in that case. She was just 15 years old. Have you ever seen something like that? I mean, obviously with the internet, people.
And that's also another thing too. She was 15 years old. Now, mind you, those messages that we were seeing came from like July of last year, which means he would have been 21. And she would have either she just turned 15 or she was still 14 turning 15. Why was a 21-year-old talking to a minor like they were in a relationship? Let's look into that. Because now it's going into levels of perversion.
People can communicate in ways they never have before, but to see the conversations that they were having, that they both shared this weird, twisted love of guns, but more specifically of potentially doing a mass shooting.
Yeah, I know I called her a woman earlier. She was a teenager, this mentally ill individual who committed such an atrocity. And
oh God, now she's mentally ill.
You have to believe that she got some encouragement from him, and that helped convince her to do it. If he had just been normal and just told her to, hey, stand down, this is not right, don't do this, perhaps lives could have been saved up in Wisconsin. But that's not what happened here. They seem to feed on each other's derangement, feed on each other's hate. And
so who did they think they were? Joker and Harley Quinn? Is that who they thought they were? That they was going to go outside in Gotham and wreak havoc? All they needed was the clown makeup and the car and go out in the street and acting crazy.
Thankfully, when it came to his attempt to commit an atrocity, that he was stopped in his tracks. Too bad that she wasn't.
Yeah, and thinking of the kind of the world that we live in where so much is online. And then with younger people within that age gap of being maybe under the age of 25 in those teenage years, I know we grew up on Facebook, but that's like archaic compared to what kids are on like these days. When you look at, and they were said to be on Discord part of the time, and that seems to come up a lot in these cases, how prevalent are these types of views on some of those other social media platforms that go beyond kind of the mainstream ones like a Facebook or an Instagram, though he was on that?
Well, it's tough for parents to keep up with the latest apps that young people are using because, Chris, you and I are of the age, sorry, I know I'm older than you, but we're of the age that we know Facebook and Instagram, but these young people they use apps that many of us have never heard of. I've never used Discord, but I know what's popular amongst young people are apps that use disappearing messages, the Snapchats, Signals, and others, where there's no record of it, so they can conceal their tracks. It's extra privacy. Plus, there's gaming apps where you have the social component to connect people who are doing games, video games. So this is a whole community that if parents are not vigilant, their kids can succumb to peer pressure online or just be lazy, who just do nothing but sit at home, play video games, and compile weapons and dream of a mass shooting. That's why I'd have a bunch of questions for these parents. My guess is they're probably just clueless rather than participants in this.
Well, if his parents are so-called clueless about this, then they aren't good parents. And I would still bring them in for questioning, because how in the world would you not know that your son had all these firearms, 12,000 rounds of ammunition in your home? How would you have not known that? Because you're not going to sit here and tell me he bought those in one by one. He had to bring some of those in like as a set. Because some of those, with those firearms, you would have to take apart, like disassemble and reassemble. So, and not only that, but the gear that he was buying, like the helmet, the gloves, the shoes, the boots, the pants, all of that.
Yeah, and in terms of the female shooter, she said that she was able to kind of manipulate her father into buying her some guns to get her to that he thought that she was just into firearms, and two of the guns that she.
And I remember that, and I said, this guy's a fool, and now that's why he's in the position he's in now. But we're gonna get there.
Talked about, she ended, and that's the thing where you wonder where, and there's the Second Amendment. I know we're not talking politics, but there's proper safe gun ownership. But then it just seems like in these cases, there's this other world that people have, and parents on one hand just don't seem to know what the ideology is of what their kids. How is it that parents, from what you've seen in cases that you've prosecuted, that parents just are so clueless to their kids having some extreme views?
Yeah, prosecutors had enough of these mass school shootings and are trying to hold parents accountable. The public has had enough. We saw this in Oxford, Michigan, the Crumbly case, where the parents
You're talking about Ethan Crumbly.
were both convicted of involuntary manslaughter because they did more than just turn the other way. They did more than just put their head in the sand. What they did was they knew their kid was a ticking time bomb, and they bought him a gun. And when the kid was searching on the internet for ammunition, they laughed it off. The mother wrote, LOL, just don't get caught. That's beyond the pale. That's why those parents are now sitting in a prison cell. But as far as this case, you have others where it's more likely the parents are just neglectful parents. They just live their own lives and they just let their kid do all these things in their room, not knowing that when they're just seemingly peaceful on the internet, they could be planning an atrocity. It's not their generation to know that the bad stuff is stuff you do in private, in silence, just by yourself in front of a computer. But unfortunately, that's the year 2025. And a lot of times the danger is coming right into your home without your knowledge.
And that is a problem, because now it's seeming like they just don't care. And then what would the parents have said if he was actually had to have carried out these mass shootings, because it wasn't going to be just one. Remember, he was going to do 7 of them. What would the parents have said if he actually carried this out? What would they have done? I know what law enforcement probably would have done. They would have done the same thing to them that they did to Ethan Crumbly's parents, and that was arrest them. Because that sounds to me like neglect.
Yeah, it's so scary, because I think it's just, whether you're a parent or it's you go to a sporting event, you go to a mall. I mean, someone like what Damian Allen is accused of, and everything's alleged and he's innocent until proven guilty. But like, this is the nightmare that someone would have this in their home and would have this weird infatuation with mass shootings. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said it'd really be up to the FBI, but there could be federal charges in this case. He has this cache of weapons. He was communicating online. What goes into the process of determining whether he would face charges at the federal level?
Yeah, so that's why I mentioned earlier that the feds could come in, because when you're dealing with weapons offenses, buying weapons across state lines and lying on certain applications, wire fraud. There are things that the feds.
Weapons across state line. What does that sound like? Chat, answer that for me. When he said weapons across state lines, who comes to mind when you hear that?
Have in their arsenal that the state does not. It's much easier to prosecute firearms offenses if you're a federal prosecutor than if you're a state prosecutor. So it's up to the feds. Plus, the feds have these laws that are just very broad, like wire fraud. All you do is lie over the internet about something, and you can be busted for that. It's a serious crime. And so I do think that it's a good sign that the sheriff is working with his federal counterparts. No turf wars here, because you want justice to be done. This guy to get the maximum sentence possible. Because really, just the fact that he wasn't able to accomplish these crimes shouldn't mean that we don't treat him seriously, because God forbid that tragedy occurs. It's so much harder to pick up the pieces afterwards. Thankfully, there are people alive today who would not have, because someone spoke up.
There's going to be a defense attorney that at some point is going to defend Damian Allen in this case. Why could they not make the argument, if you were the prosecutor, that there's no proof that, he said he was looking at 7 places for a mass shooting, but we don't know what those places are. He just said it. He was talking with this person on social media. It's First Amendment rights. He can say whatever he wants, and there's really no proof. He's a perhaps legal gun owner. These are the guns that he's allowed to have by law. Would the First Amendment and that type of argument be a concern to you if you were prosecuting this case?
It would, except for the fact that he collected a cache full of weapons. That's it. I mean, if he hadn't done that, yes. You have to show that he did more than just idle talk. What did he do to put his plan in action? Well, he compiled an army's worth of weapons. He took these pictures and was boasting about it for some time. And in the meantime, he was preparing by ordering up weapons that could accomplish exactly what he was trying to do. Why else would you have these weapons? To go hunting? There's not a lot of hunting near where he lives. There's no evidence that he was a hunter. He was a guy, it seemed like, who wants to hunt people.
And that's the thing right there. See what just in that pocket right there, the benefit of the doubt. People like this Damian Allen is given the benefit of the doubt of why else would he have these guns. Like, you can find almost as if they're going to try to find another reason why he has them besides what it's obvious. He said what he wanted to do, and more than he just saying it, he actually went and, like he said, got an army's worth of firearms. When that's crazy to even think of that as a scenario. An army's worth, and one person had all of that. Then buying the uniform, getting, I don't know if you bought the uniform, but getting the uniform, taking a picture near the police cruiser, how he got in the police cruiser, I don't know. So it's a lot of questions that need answering with this.
Yeah.
SD Johnson said, where's that manifesto? He probably didn't have one written because, well, at least not yet anyways. Because he looked like he was still in his maybe the final stages of his plan. He probably didn't get around to writing one if he planned on writing one.
It's a scary thought. And just lastly, Dave, because unfortunately we've had so many of these incidents recently in your state and at Florida State.
Travis, where it said I live in Palm Beach County. Okay, well, Travis, let me know. Like, did you hear about this story? Since this happened in your county.
There's a shooting, and you look at the suspect in that case. At this time, he hasn't been released to the hospital, but it's believed that he had some extremist views. You look at what this suspect was saying on social media. The girl he was talking to seemed to have some racist views of her own, saying that she was thinking of attacking a black church. And then Damian Allen, it appears in the picture that PBSO put out with all the weapons that there was a swastika there. And then kind of tying things together with Phoenix Eichner at Florida State, he had extremist views that people said were racist as well. What are some of the links that you see in the ideology in these cases, and how can we look at that and potentially combat it so we don't have these situations?
Well, institutions need to do better. In the case of Florida State, this kid up there had expressed these extremist views, and he was allowed back in school. And his fellow students knew about this. And
that was a failure on the school's part. And they're talking about that Phoenix Eichner person who I talked about on Saturday.
And apparently administrators did, but they let him back in. And you have to have like zero tolerance to this stuff. We saw this with the Parkland shooter, whose name I will not mention here. He was an open racist, neo-Nazi, and yet he was given so many chances. And it seems that administrators seem to
again benefit of the doubt, and the person he's talking about is Nicholas Cruz.
Over backwards to try to help individual students by putting everyone else at risk. And so you have to, in my mind, have a zero tolerance policy. If you're going to express these views, you need to remove this person from the situation, never let him back in. And when it comes to something like this, instead of that, he was just enabled by his constant use of the internet. And I don't know what kind of talk he was having at home, what kind of conversations, but there was, you don't become a racist at birth. that's something that's bred into you, that's taught over time. And you have to wonder where he got those views from, because yes, I'm sure he got a lot of that from the internet, but I got to believe
He probably got some of it from home.
there are people around him who also encouraged him.
You know, the same family that claims they're clueless about those guns that was in the house. He probably got it from them too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the questions for the family, the answers they have as this story continues on. Former Palm Beach County State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg, it's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks.
All right, y'all. So there's that part right there. All right, so that was that video. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is pull up this article right here. So remember when I said that it was like a network? So not last year, but earlier this year, I talked about an individual by the name of, what is his name? Solomon Henderson. And he is or was a melanated individual who decided that they was going to open fire, and he shot in his school in the cafeteria, in which he ended up killing a 16-year-old student, a young girl. And then he said he injured another 17-year-old. And they say he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Well, this Henderson individual was also linked to Natalie Rupnow, the same Natalie that was talking to Damian Allen. And this is Solomon Henderson, in case y'all forgot what he looked like. And it says it right here. Henderson's social media presence also shows that he may have been in contact with 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, who opened fire at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin last month. And it says Rupnow's account may have been following Henderson's account at the time of the Wisconsin shooting in December, according to law enforcement sources. Authorities are also investigating a Blue Sky account believed to be linked to Henderson. One of the Blue Sky posts made the day before the shooting showed an edited picture of Rupnow, according to sources. Another post the same day mentioned intentions of conducting the shooting with a second person. And of course, you know about the part about him expressing self-hatred as a black person, and wrote of wishing violence on other black people. So, and the crazy part about it is, when he did what he did, the girl that he unfortunately killed wasn't even black. The only black person that died that day was him. So yeah, there's the connection. So he knew her, or knew of her as well. But the last thing I'm gonna go over before I drop the link is this right here. So remember what we was talking about? I said the last thing I was talking about was Natalie, even though this is about Damian. I wanted to bring up this part about her and her dad. So remember, they were talking about how her dad gave her the gun because she was fascinated by them, and that's what she used in order to carry out the shooting, and what she did. Well, now he has been arrested and charged. I believe that he was, Casey, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was. But this is father of a 15-year-old girl who killed two at Madison, Wisconsin religious school appears in court. It says the father of a 15-year-old girl who killed a fellow student and a teacher at a private school in Wisconsin had his bail set to $20,000 on Friday at his first court appearance on charges that he allowed her access to guns. Prosecutors charged Jeffrey Rupnow, age 42, on Thursday with 2 felony counts of intentionally giving a dangerous weapon to a minor, causing death, and 1 felony count of contributing to the delinquency of a child. Rupnow would face up to 18 years in prison if convicted on all counts. This is basically the same thing that was going on with Ethan Crumbley's parents. Remember, they got sentenced to involuntary manslaughter. They said, while you did not actually pull the trigger that killed those people in that school and your son did it, we're charging and sentencing you based on that charge because you basically allowed it to happen when you could have stopped it. All the warning signs were there, but you did nothing and allowed it to happen. So basically, it sounds to me like the same thing is going to be happening with him. Which, if it does, which it sounds like it's most likely going to be, hey, it is what it is. I said that was one of the best laws that I've ever heard of in my life, and I agree wholeheartedly with it. That one, and I think they said Ethan Crumbley's parents are the first ones to actually get sentenced under that law. And basically, I forgot the name of the law, but basically, if you have a kid that commits a mass shooting, and if you have firearms that are registered like in your name, or you basically if you're aiding it or it's almost like aiding and abetting. Basically, if you're doing that, then they're going to charge you as well. But anyway, y'all, there's the link right there in the chat. If anybody would like to come up and speak to this topic, feel free to go ahead and do so. All right. First person we got is Mr. Williams. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? I just came in. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Hold up. Let me go ahead and mute my TV. Okay. Yeah, I just came in 42 minutes in, and the first thing I seen was this dude with a gang load of weapons that I don't even know how that's possible. How old was he?
He's 22.
Wow.
And what if I told y'all about them age ranges? 18 to 24. I mean, even though he didn't carry out, they got him before he did, but he was going to. And that he falls into that age bracket, 18 to 24.
What? And I remember you just saying they gave him the benefit of the doubt, so I probably missed what they said. What was they actually saying there? As far as when you were saying how they gave him the benefit of doubt.
Of course, they mentioned about like the mental health thing.
Oh Lord. Okay.
They were saying like why, like I think the benefit of the doubt also came with the parents as well, like how like the parents being clueless about them not knowing. I was like, they had to have known, because if you look at all of that stuff, it was all over the floor. Like he took pictures of that and put it online to basically brag about what he had and posted videos of what he was going to do and all this, that, and the third. So again, it's like the benefit of the doubt of, well, he bought it for this, but it could have possibly been because of that. No, it was the first one. He said he willing to carry out a mass shooting at 7 different locations, and you saw all the weapons that he had. You saw all the tactical gear that he had. He even had the swastika up in there, so he definitely had anti-black views for sure.
He looked like he is ready to do a live version of PUBG. Like that's ridiculous. That's. But and one, I'm gonna hurt him get off. But one thing Harvey says, because he understands mental illness, he says most people with mental illness will hurt themselves more than others most of the time.
Yeah.
Because who has the mental illness and can plan out all that?
Exactly.
But I just want to say that since I came in late, so I didn't get too much information. So I'll holler at y'all later.
All right. Shout out to Mr. Williams for coming up. Next up, we got Wallow J. What's going on?
What's going on, Torian? What's going on, everybody in the chat? Now, we all know it's black people. You got all that shit on the floor. You know, good and damn well he couldn't have all that shit on the floor if he was in the black household. Let's go ahead and keep it there. Ain't no way in hell his parents did. Well, we already know white folks don't check on their kids' room, so that's why his room was so goddamn messy. Ain't no way you have all that ammunition, 12K rounds. 12K rounds. Ain't no way in hell he had that all in his room and nobody noticed that. You telling me a damn lie. I could never have all that stuff in my room. My mom would have said, what you got in your room? Ain't no problem.
Listen, in our household, if you have clothes everywhere, that's a problem. This guy had a whole bunch of guns all over the place. And whatever didn't fit on the floor was stuffed in his closet.
Exactly. Like, ain't no way in hell. And to be honest, them police officers, they're breathing a big ass sign of relief. Because if he went out and carried out any shootings at a church or a Walmart or wherever he wanted to go, and then everybody be questioning, okay, where did he get all that tactical gear from? They be like, wait a minute.
They should still be questioning it, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're going to still question it. They're going to be like, regardless of who he shot up, they're going to be like, well, so where do you get this stuff from? Like, You can't tell me this dude went out and bought police uniforms. He had to get that stuff from someone in that police force. Ain't no way he just bought that randomly offline for somebody. Ain't no way.
Exactly.
That is crazy. And they keep letting they gotta start doing something. God knows, boy, these damn folks crazy. They crazy as hell. And yeah, Florida, they real loose with their gun laws. Too damn loose.
Yep.
They too damn loose. I understand Second Amendment, but good God. I know a guy that he claimed he has a $50,000-$60,000 gun collection for no goddamn reason, but they ain't gonna never learn. Tony. I'm gonna land there.
All right, appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Wallow. Next up, we got Denzimus. What's going on?
Hey, bro, can you get me next? I'm gonna allow this.
Okay. All right, next up, we got AW1. What's going on?
What's going on, Tori? How you been, man?
Doing good.
Yeah. All I can say is about this last guy. You see, Candace? This is who you influence.
Oh, they
And
better be glad her name didn't come up.
Not to mention, well, he was influenced by her. But yeah, and that's exactly why I don't like that. Well, like that, I refuse to call her a lady because she's not a lady. But I want to be respectful on your channel. But yeah, this guy just he literally acted like a coward and then went out like a coward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can say. Oh, and one more thing, Torian. R.I.P. to Sabu. B1, Torian.
B1. All right, shout out to AW1. And yeah, Tawana, when you said this is definitely some kind of a network, I'm willing to bet that it's more there for sure. Like I'm sure they're connected somehow, some way. That there are more of them out there for sure. More than just these three that are right here. I mean, what are the odds that we talk about her? Then when we talk about the black one, that he was communicating with her, and then fast forward to now, and we're talking about Damian Allen, and they were having the conversations way into last year. So I'm willing to bet that there are more people that are out there than just the ones that we're talking about right now. It's just the fact that they haven't been how can I say, they haven't been exposed yet. Oh, you already know what time it is.
Heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred.
What's going on?
Good evening, Tori, and good evening, family in the chat.
I've been missing you coming up here just so I could play that.
Well, I gotta tell you, I am sick of hearing this shit. I mean, we all know white people is straight up fucking crazy and demonic. And us as FBA, first of all, me being a mother, let me tell you something. True FBA mamas know they feel it in their bones when the kids are fucking up. So ain't no way a child of mine is gonna bring some guns up in my house, and I not know.
Especially because you be moving a little bit different and all types of stuff.
Yeah, my son couldn't move a certain way. I just took one look. I'd be like, "What the hell did you do?"
And I always call like that's like the universal black mama stare. Like you like she can just give you a stare. Like it's almost like not even a stare down. It's like when she's looking in your eyes, she's looking straight through your eyes and into your soul. And it's like, oh, I'm caught. Like no matter, I can't even get out of this. No matter how I try to flip it, I'm done.
Well, I know how I was with my son. I was straight with him. I said, you might as well tell me because I'm gonna find out.
Mm-hmm. And you would rather him tell you instead of you finding out.
Exactly. That don't mean I'm not gonna bust that ass because I will. But see, that's the difference between black parents and white parents. Black parents parent. White parents breed. And I land there.
Appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Ms. Nisi. Oh, then Zemas, let me know in the private chat if you're ready to come up. Tawana said that stare will make you confess. Oh yeah, I already know because my mother used to give me that stare when I was younger. I'm very familiar with that stare. Okay, cool. All right, you good.
All right. Yeah, Miss Nisi pretty much said like half of the stuff that I'm going to say. First of all, quick story. I had a Mother's Day present that I was trying to hide from my mom, and she wasn't playing no games about me hiding that shit. So I know for a fact that, like, what are these other people? What are these other parents doing? Like, how do you bring that many guns and ammo into your parents' house? Like, I call bullshit. They definitely knew. They probably. I'm sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you. I said so do I.
Yeah, they had to have known because like they just we have to understand these people. They know how to play stupid when it's convenient, and I'm not trying to like they're trying to play with my effing mind. That's what I feel like. And like you always say, I hate when somebody like plays with my intelligence. Like you can't tell me that these people didn't know that their fucking child was bringing all that shit into their damn house. Like, come on, bro. And another thing I want to say is I don't want to hear them folks, PC, whatever we call them, ever talk about how violent we are when they ask us, when this is a literal story about how this fool was about to air out a damn place. You'll often hear them talking about Chicago.
Seven
my
places.
God.
Like, that's what he said. Like he said he wanted to commit a mass shooting at 7 different locations. He didn't buy all of that just to do that at one place. Like he bought all of that to carry out 7 mass shootings. That was his plan.
And how old was he again?
He's 22.
Wow. Okay. And there goes another pattern. These, honestly, he just sounds, at this point, it's starting to sound incel type. He's starting to sound like an incel. Yeah. This is what it sounds like, because
it's like they're living out a fantasy. You know how, like, remember at one point when, like, especially when Call of Duty first came out, like when Call of Duty was like really starting to become popular, you find a lot of those white boys, they want to live out what I call their Call of Duty fantasies, and a lot of them did. And a lot of at times, whenever they said what was their inspiration, Call of Duty. Just like when Grand Theft Auto, like more so, I would say, between 3 and Vice City, that's when a lot of car theft started to happen because of that. And they tried to blame it on Grand Theft Auto. For those who don't know, they was about to snatch Grand Theft Auto Vice City off the shelves because they said this game is inspiring people to commit all these car thefts.
Right. And of course, you know, it always leads back to unaliving us eventually. This is just another conduit for them, for their psychopathic nature. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. B1.
B1. All right, shout out to Denzimus for coming up. All right, next we got Scoop. What's going on? And I saw you said in the chat you was off today, so I had a feeling you was gonna come up.
Yeah, what's going on, chat, Torian? Man, look, man, I don't know where they come with this we're violent mess. Since when have we got the history of violence? We ain't got a history of violence. We ain't got a history of doing things that they have done. They ain't just done things here in America. They done things all over the world.
And have the nerve to say they got black fatigue.
Yeah.
And y'all be on the lookout for that video because I actually recorded a very, in my opinion, good commentary about that last night. So that'll be coming soon. So definitely be on the lookout for that one.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Black fatigue. If anybody fatigued, is us. We tired of them. Tired of them folks. They got nerve. Talking about, man, come on. What is up with them in these school shootings and he's buying all these weapons? One thing I know, you can't buy that many weapons without being investigated. There's no way.
Good point. Very good point.
There's no way. Because the first thing they're gonna be like, oh, number one, why you need all these weapons? No, you ain't hunting deer.
And that's the other thing that wasn't mentioned in there, and I don't know if it's because they don't have it yet or not. They didn't say where he got these guns from. Exactly. They don't even know how he paid for this.
Exactly. He had help. He had to have help. Someone made it possible for him to do that. So that's why I said when I hear that, and it seemed like they still have this history of violence to where they want to take out schools, jobs, because back in the day they would say, oh, well, they went postal.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a minute. So because you mad at somebody and you wanna unalive everybody got to go.
And a lot of times they're not even mad at anybody. They just have the lust to want to kill. That's
You know
even
what?
worse. That's even worse because now you're going into psycho territory.
Yeah,
You're not doing it because you're trying to get back at somebody or you feel like you're being aggrieved. You're doing it because you want to do it. That's even worse. Those are the people you really, really, really want to stay clear from. Because you don't know because you don't know when they're going to pop off. You don't know who they're going to snap on. And the thing is, people who do that, anybody's a target. They don't have a specific person they're going after. If you are in their scope, literally in their scope, then hopefully you can get out of that vision before they catch you.
Hey, it's funny how they always watching us, but we need to be watching them. That's what I do. Every time they looking funny, or they got a trench coat on, it's 100 degrees, or they got a duffel bag, I'm wondering what's in. You go to the gym and they got a duffel bag. I'm like, what's in that duffel bag, man? I wonder what they up to. I don't trust them. I
said if people ain't learned, I said that people, and it's crazy. It's crazy to believe it's been 10 years. If people haven't learned since Dylan Roof, I don't know what to tell you.
Man, who you telling? It's funny. I don't know if you've seen that video. I just seen a video today about a black guy talking about he feels safer living in the white neighborhood around them.
Oh yeah, I think I know. I think. Are you talking about? Is it Damani Felder? Is that his name?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's about to go into the Hall of Shame real soon. I got something with him.
I said, boy, these people something else. It's like, do you really think that they're that safe? Do they really have you convinced that they and their communities is where you need to be? Wait a minute. If you go over there, last I checked, if you black, you still black. Mm-hmm. Even when you get over there. So now you got to target the people who don't love you. They tolerate you. That's about it. So learn. You know, they have a history of violence, so they may pop off at any time and do just about anything. And I'm going to land it right there, Torian. Peace.
All right, shout out to Scoop for coming up. All right, then Zima said he had to say one more thing. All right, what's going on?
Yeah, another thing I want us to do when these situations happen, because I've noticed this pattern every time, it never fails. It happened with that, what's the name of that guy? See, they do this shit so much, it's like becoming a blur. What was the name of that guy that shot up the restaurant? I forgot his name. Not the restaurant, the grocery store shit.
Oh, Peyton Gibson?
Yeah. So with him, and there was another one, they had like FBI. It came out that there was somebody in the FBI or something.
Wait, okay, you go ahead. I thought you was about to say something else.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, usually there's a pattern where it's like the feds or something are usually somehow involved, but that information always seems to quickly disappear, and there's no investigation into that. So I just want us to be, so that when the next time that happens, I want us to pay attention to that as well and get those news reports, because they always delete that shit. And another thing I want to say real quick, to my fellow FBAs, please get your power tools, because the more violent that they get, the worse that the more this stuff goes on, the more violent they're going to try and get towards us, because we're not giving them certain reactions that they want. So just keep your power tools, stay away from their asses, and we just gonna mind our black FBA business.
Right.
That's it.
All right, appreciate you. Shout out to Denzimus for coming up. And that is going to end the call-ins. That was the last call right there. Shout out to everybody for calling in. Shout out to Miss Nisi for being a member for 15 months. And I also got a Cash App. I'm not going to say their name, but their initials LL. You know who you are. I appreciate the Cash App. All right, y'all. So the next live that I do will be on Wednesday. It's going to be at the same time. And on Wednesday, I'm finally going to be talking about the Rodney Hinton Jr. situation. I'm finally going to be talking about it. I think I have all the information I need as of right now. And if anything does more come out by that time, then I'll include that in there as well. I can't wait to talk about that. I've been wanting to talk about that for about a week now, but I just wanted to wait to see what more would come out. But tomorrow we also have 2 videos lined up for tomorrow as well. So be on the lookout for those at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. I think Afro is live right now, so make sure y'all go ahead on over to Afro Elite's channel and see what he's talking about over there. Of course, you know it's going to be something very informative. And with that being said, shout out to the members, shout out to the mods, shout out to people over on Patreon. If you're on the replay game, shout out to you. Be safe, and most importantly, be one.